Second.
All right, we are live. So,
Hi.
SoFlo instantly. Hello, Brad in the crawl space. What's up, SoFlo? Power Packers, who sang with us, Kelly. Didn't he sing with us?
Yes, he did. He sung with us.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
it was his because it was his birthday during karaoke.
That's right. That was the last time that we had the karaoke. That JR, you missed singing ABBA.
Oh God!
Oh, did you like?
We sung a lot.
Did you invite
better?
some Swedes to join you?
Yeah,
You know,
you
to
sound
kind
better,
of
Mike.
make
Okay.
it authentic or something.
No.
I mean,
Jonathan,
after all,
what's going on?
because George insulted a country by asking if they all like ABBA or
Did not
whatever. so.
insult the country. The person from the country agreed with George.
I remember that. That was funny. Oh, there's Ashley.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
What's going on?
You're all so tiny.
If you took oh,
Whoa.
look at you.
Well, if you do that, that's here. Why don't I do this?
Ashley's in the Batcave, or she's
Hey,
a
Ashley.
Batman villain. Look at that.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
All
There
right.
we go. We got it.
Oh, I love
All right.
it.
Okay.
By the way, welcome to the new house of Ashley's new house. It sounds like Game of Thrones. Welcome to the house of Ashley.
How did Bogey like the new house?
Oh yeah.
He loves it. He will follow us up and down the stairs. He can go out in the yard because it's fenced.
Ooh, Bogey's
Um,
got a fenced
nice.
yard.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Nice.
it's been really great. And I'm broadcasting from not my combination office bedroom, but our dedicated computer room.
Whoa.
Yay.
That will be-
You moving up in the world, girl.
Woo.
Ooh,
It's like
do we get a
all
fan?
boxes.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
a Spider-Man poster behind you? That's
What's
not
the-
set up yet?
what's the over
Oh no,
under?
that's our Godzilla poster.
Oh, Godzilla.
What's the
Spider-Man ones.
what's the over under on you going into labor one
They're
day
right
on the podcast?
Did you hear it, George, Ashley?
What was that?
You offended her so much, George. She left.
He's left. He's gone.
No, I said what's the over under on you going into labor? Like if you're on the podcast one day.
Oh Jesus! I might just be taking a bit of a sabbatical then.
Wow.
I was about to say, Brad, maybe you could increase Patreon memberships by saying, watch Ashley, watch Ashley go into labor exclusively for
Oh,
Patreon
boy.
subscribers.
Most dads are holding a camera. Jack is holding a live stream.
Yeah, Jack will probably do
Well-
it for a percentage, right?
Hey, that's how you get a broken phone.
Count
Speaking
me
of
out
which-
on that.
Speaking of
Count
which,
me out on that
Ashley,
one, if you're
do you have a baby shower Amazon gift link that you could just share and have everybody?
That would be
We
nice.
are working on our registry. We've got it set up. We've just got to go through and parse stuff down because it might have some duplicates on there. But I will make an announcement on Facebook just for people
Yeah.
to message me for the link.
I
Okay.
think
But
the baby
it should
needs.
be done this weekend.
I think the baby needs a PS5. What do you think?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Can you-
Yeah.
Jack
Actually-
would very much agree with you.
Ashley, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
And when you set that up, can you put on there like a link for anybody who just wants to send cash?
Oh,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because
we're using one of those. It's called Baby List. It's one of those conglomerate ones that can add from any registry. So they probably have a cash fund set up.
okay,
Mhm.
Or we want to add
Because-
stuff
That's
for
because
HelloFresh.
looking for gifts and stuff makes me feel a little girly.
Makes sense.
Now, money is the
Because
true
we all
gift.
know
of love.
babies are so girly. They're exclusive
George
to
has been
women.
giving that gift for years. No one ever returns it to George.
Aw.
No one ever returns cash. Have you noticed that? Don't keep the
Very
receipt cash
true.
because it's always going to be welcome.
Hey, wait a minute, George, do you have any more Georgie bears? Hero Realm Georgie bears? You can spare?
No, we don't. No. We ran out of those. I don't know how long ago.
Jr., do you have a Georgie bear? And I
One
will
second, guys.
love
His
Okay.
no, his mom has one.
His mother has it. My mother has it. It was a
You're-
gift from
wait
my
a-
mother.
Wait a minute. Your mom has a Georgie bear.
That's right.
Next time you visit your mom, can you ask to borrow it for the stream?
You're a monster.
going to take it away from my
No,
mother's
you're
Georgie
borrowing
bear
it. It's like
away.
a library book. It's like a library book.
Well, yeah, but she's so old. By the time I get it back to her, she might be dead. So I mean, it'll be,
my
and she'll
God.
die without.
I mean,
her.
hell, the bear itself is old.
That's right. The bear's probably what 20-something
20-something years old. Yeah.
Here we go. More comments. Jonathan
All
says
right.
hello.
Hi,
Bob
guys.
says hi, guys. Jonathan Lopez says Sweet Caroline was great, Kelly. We sang that one.
Yep, we did.
Singing that was fun. Oh, Power Packers, yes, sang that one. Jonathan says actually only spider stuff should be on the registry.
I
I don't think so.
no.
They don't make enough spider. Well, I don't know if you're having a boy or girl.
Well, it's a girl actually. I can't. I don't know.
Whoa!
They definitely don't make enough Spider Girl stuff for babies. I was
Well,
looking for
no.
it.
There's no Spider Girl stuff. There is a pink Spider-Man blanket on Amazon.
Oh my
there you
God.
go.
JR's
Yeah.
got one.
I'm like, I don't know if they have. Do they have Spider-Man themed baby food? Do they have Spider-Man themed
They do have
first aid
diapers.
kits?
They
What
have
is that?
spider diapers.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
diapers. I feel like
Yeah.
there's some essentials that aren't
All right.
branded.
And they had like little Spider-Man slippers because I got Rachel some when she was a toddler.
So.
So,
What's going on, Chris? How are you, man?
Hi,
Austin. Well, that was short notice for what, Austin?
Chris.
I made it, Ryan. All right, Ryan. What's going
Hi,
on?
Ryan.
All right.
Oh,
So let me
also,
share my. Oh, go ahead, George.
I won't be in the chat tonight since I'm. All right, for those of you who don't know, my old PC finally just bought the farm. It was
Oh,
it was a
no.
good PC. Lasted a lot of years. Got a lot of life out of it, but it finally just gave out. Like a pet that had just gone on too many years.
Like 15 years, you said, right?
Yeah,
That's a
so-
good lifespan of a
It
computer.
is. And so, because I run 4 campaigns of D&D now, one of my friends who lives here in Dallas gave me a laptop
That's
to
a good
use,
friend.
which is what
Yeah.
I'm on now. So I could, because
Yeah.
he's playing in one of the D&D games that I'm running.
Nice.
So he didn't. Nobody wanted that to stop. So while I'm saving up to get a new PC, I'm on this thing. And this thing, I mean, it can
I
run
see
the
it.
things I
It
need
look-
it. I
great.
can't. I can't run that many things.
Right.
So yeah, trying to boot up YouTube
Well,
is not going to work.
You can see it when I pop it on the screen, can't you, George?
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that.
No. On the little
No.
chat.
Yeah,
I
he
know.
can put-
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I can see that. I'm usually busy paying attention to the actual topic.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
In
Unlike-
other words,
Unlike some people that I won't mention, who are also
Me.
bald.
Squirrel. Squirrel. All right. Let me share my screen so I can get the comic cover up.
okay.
There we go. Let me move this guy over.
Also, this is as of today. This is 7 weeks that I haven't smoked.
Oh,
Yay!
hey, man! Congratulations.
Good.
I mean, I've picked up other habits like I can't stop eating pistachios.
Well,
But
Pistachios are amazing.
yeah.
Did you? When you said that, it reminded me of Uncle Buck. You remember Uncle Buck? He says, "I've been off smoking for 8 weeks. I've moved on to cigars."
moved on to cigar.
I
Yeah,
love that line.
I'm still vaping, but not as much as I was
Oh,
when I
this is the
initially.
wrong issue. That's
That's the one for next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
next month. Let me
It's
find-
the one
let me
where
find the
Spidey
right
is in the straitjacket.
one. The straight
Yes.
jacket one.
Yep.
Yes.
We're starting off with mine.
Yes, and I
That's what I
decided
thought.
to go on a long shot and give a Norman Osborn book to the biggest fan I know. Where is?
it was a
The
complete
straight
shock.
jacket.
He said, "Jared, will you do Sins of Norman Osborn?" Why? Why do I get that one?
I know, right?
Trust
Here,
me,
let's-
it's actually
let's
important.
view-
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have
Strangely
been
enough.
labeled the next issue straight up.
There you go.
I don't
Yep.
understand why it wasn't.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a theory of why it wasn't, but we'll get
Okay,
into
No.
it.
bring that-
All right.
bring it.
Well,
Bring it
it's
up,
Not, it's not
during the
profound
show.
or anything, but
Bob
Yeah.
says, "Nice, George. Good, congrats on quitting smoking. That's nice."
Thank you. It's been a very fine adjustment.
I was about to say, have you alienated everybody you know now? Because you've bit all their heads off because you've been so angry and agitated.
Yeah, George. What's different? Are you more short tempered? Are you replacing with
More
food or what? What's
Pretty sure if I was more short tempered, I'd probably just be dead.
Are you crankier or grumpier or anything like that?
No, but I'll say this: it's a good thing that I decided to quit this while I'm working from home.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it might not go as smoothly because I also quit coffee.
Oh my
God.
Why?
Well,
Together.
okay, because like I'm going to go back on it. It's okay. Don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
We're all concerned.
Wow, really?
here's the thing. Like when I was drinking coffee, like every day, I would drink 32 ounces of coffee every day.
Okay. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
drinking 32 ounces creme brulee coffee, with like 4 Splendas in it,
Okay.
and
It's like 30 ounces of sugar and 2 ounces of coffee.
yeah. So well, no, I mean like it's a big tumbler, and I'm just putting little 4 little packets in there, but it's
Yeah.
a big thing,
Mhm.
and I finally just got to a point where it was just making me so damn jittery all the time. But like I don't want to, because I have like the Mr. Coffee, right? I'm old,
Right.
so I'm like brewing it, and I don't want to like, oh, how many spoonfuls is 1 cup? I don't want to have to go through all that mess for 1 damn cup, right?
Mhm.
Fair.
So,
Okay.
so I'm gonna wait until after I get the computer, and I'll get one of those Keurig.
Sure. Okay.
And I can
Yeah.
just
Okay, right.
be done.
Isn't it?
No muss, no fuss.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
George, you could do a French press too. That's what Jack and I use, and it's like 2 servings. So if
I
you
used-
want to stick to traditional coffee,
Oh, just
That-
be careful about the
It's-
French press stuff because I got a horror story for you guys
It's-
for
it's
that one. But
it's too frou for me actually.
No.
It makes me
it's because
feel,
it's French.
well, no,
We call it
No.
in French.
it makes me feel like I'm some highfalutin city
Rootin'
folk,
tootin', son of a gun.
you know.
Mike, did you?
But it results in flavor.
Mhm.
Fair.
George, did you get? Mike, did you get burned with the press? What happened?
oh no,
was
see,
the
a friend
horror
of
story?
mine. The friend of mine who was supposed to be like a professional chef thing. He always used a French press all the time, and one day when he was cleaning it, it shattered, cut open his hand. He had to go
Jesus
like
Christ.
he had to literally like get like about 15 stitches or something on it.
Oh my gosh, that'll make you quit.
No.
Okay, there you go. There you go, Ashley. That's why I'm not getting the French press because it'll kill you.
It'll kill.
We'll stay away from all glass then.
Yeah, I guess it was
Only
one of those
foul-safe
things where we got
plastics for
super heat or
George.
something, but yeah,
Jonathan
but-
says, George going straight edge.
right.
Dude,
She was triggered about the no coffee. There you go.
I
Austin is-
am. It's horrible.
Yeah. Austin
No,
is saying only reviews tonight. No, we're sticking around. Kelly and I are going to be joined by Javi and Neil, and we're going to do a Patreon exclusive for Spider Satellites. Those are the
Yes.
books that JR and George don't pick up anymore. Because
I think because I've done wasting money.
Mhm.
I think he probably
Fair.
meant like news though as well.
oh
Mhm.
no, we're not going to do news. We don't really have much, with the exception of the Olivia Wilde movie. Here, we can go around the horn. What do you think of Olivia Wilde directing a potential Jessica Drew movie? Anybody?
The rumor is no longer Jessica Drew. The rumor is Anya Corazon, aka
No.
not
Oh,
Aranya, but Spider Girl.
What they're gonna call it Spider Girl
Yes.
and Aranya?
Yes.
Boo.
Controversial.
Boo hiss.
It's not controversial other than I want to scream it from the rooftops that it's wrong, but Sony is Sony, so
What if they
Yeah,
make
that-
Spider Girl verse?
It has to be Aranya, otherwise Joe Quesada doesn't get money.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Anyway, I think Jessica Drew is a much better character, even
Mhm.
though that's not saying much because in 40 years she hasn't done that much.
Yeah, but Brad, here's the thing, because I like
Yeah.
Jessica Drew, and
I do too.
I'm gonna kind of twist off on that in this issue that I'm going to review.
Yeah.
But I like Jessica Drew very much.
Same.
Have since I was a kid. If this means that they can't screw up Jessica Drew, I'm fine. I'm fine with them using Anya.
Oh yeah.
Go right ahead.
But see, I'm mad at them using the name. At least use like Aranya, not Spider Girl. Then I'm fine. It's
Well, I
just
mean, they
don't use
call
Spider-Girl.
Miles.
We
They
want
call
the brand
Miles
name
Spider-Man.
recognition.
I know.
And
Well,
isn't
I
that
mean,
too bad?
he is Spider-Man, but Aranya is a better name.
It might be too hard for audiences to realize that Aranya is Spanish for spider. So
probably
That's
so.
Oh,
That's the point.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that, Ryan. Joan Van Ark did the voice of Spider-Woman on that cartoon,
Yes, she did.
Mhm.
which is on
Mhm.
Disney Plus. Surprisingly, I thought
Mhm.
that's kind of
Mhm.
cool.
Really?
That-
I
that's
got
up there.
that. I got that free for a
Right,
year
because
now.
it was,
because of,
it was Fox.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You get it free for a year. How come?
Okay, so I was on Verizon Unlimited's plan. Like I was
Wow.
grandfathered from like, I don't know,
Nice.
20 years ago or whenever, like
Nice,
2004, whenever I got my damn cell phone.
Cool. Yeah.
Because like I was back then, I was going out with this chick, and I we texted like day and night, and then I got this like $440 bill.
Oh God!
I mean, it was well, you're sending so many text messages. I'm like, are you kidding me? Is that how much it cost? Really? That's how much it cost. So I was like, okay, well, how can I avoid this? And they're like, well, you need to be on the unlimited plan. And I was like, fine, I don't care how much, just do it. Put me on the unlimited plan. I got places to be. So I was on there forever.
Wow, that's a good deal.
And it got to the point where if I wanted to get a new phone, you know how you go in and you get a phone and they roll it into your bill?
Yeah, it keeps rolling.
Stuff. Right. But otherwise, you're stuck paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone you're going to have for maybe 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I go in there and they're like, you can't have that rolled into your bill because you're on the old grandfathered unlimited plan. If you want to get the phone and have it rolled into your bill, you have to get on the new unlimited plan. And I was like, well, how much is that going to cost me? Because that's all I'm hearing is more money, more money.
Yeah.
So, to get the phone to be able to roll it in, and I got a Samsung Galaxy S10.
Nice.
They got that all hooked up, and because I was on their new unlimited plan, I got Disney Plus free for a year.
Well,
nice.
That worked out.
Good,
That worked
good
out.
job.
Yep.
Don Blake was the voice of Spider-Man for the guest star. Dan Blake. I'm thinking of Thor.
Dan, yeah.
Wow.
Jessica was most famous for being a Skrull. Yep, that's one of the most famous things. She also died at the end of her 50-issue series.
Yep.
And they brought her back in the Avengers. I remember that. But this isn't a Spider-Girl podcast or a Spider-Woman podcast.
Yeah, no.
Or a Rania girl or whatever it is.
I will talk about Spider-Woman on satellites.
There you go.
But not right now. Please.
We might talk about her a little bit because she's in George's issue that he's going to review. So let me.
George is going to talk about some people.
Okay.
Good.
Get ready.
I'm
all right. Let's start it. I'll do the intros. Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right. Coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our review show. Let's introduce the panel. JR, what is going on, sir? Happy September.
Oh, well, it's going. It's going. The leaves are still green. The grass is still green. I'm still living with the family, and life is.
I thought you were about to do a haiku or something. Oh my gosh! All right, Count Funkula, according to his handle. George, what's going on, man? That's Fat Albert. That's not Count Funkula. Would Count Funkula?
I'm sorry, Brad. What does Count Funkula sound like?
I don't know. Actually, I'm thinking like Count Funkula is like a vampire at a disco.
How do you know that Fat Albert didn't grow up and get turned into a vampire and become Count Funkula?
That I don't know.
That is
point.
Fair question.
Brad, what happens when you assume?
Ass of you and me, baby. Ass of you and me. And so, Ashley, I got nothing out of that to segue to you. What's up, Ashley?
I'm apparently very lacking in my Fat Albert verse, Lord.
You need to work on that.
Man. Mike, how are you with Fat Albert?
Well, I haven't seen Fat Albert in a long time, but I am living in the land of the vampires, according to some works of fiction.
Are you in Pennsylvania? Is it?
No, Pacific Northwest.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Twilight.
Twilight.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's out of fashion now.
I blocked that out of my memory.
Well, I saw some meme the other day that said maybe it is true that vampires do turn into bats because of Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
There you go. And we have Kelly. What's going on, Kelly? Wearing an Oscorp shirt. Industry as Oscorp Industries. JR, you need one of those so you guys can match.
Well, I don't know, but I would have to give this up, wouldn't I? I mean,
See, I don't have one of those, so
JR, even Brad's not wearing his.
Anyway, we are going to tackle 2 issues on this show. One's called Amazing Spider-Man. One's about Norman Osborn. I guess you can guess who's going to tackle that one. But first, Count Funkula, Fat Albert's biggest fan, is going to... Hey, we got issues for you. Take me through this one, George.
Fat Albert needs mini batteries.
Yeah.
All right. So this one starts off just on the cover, right off the bat. You've got Spidey in a straitjacket, and this is how I felt by the end of the issue.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
All right.
Legit.
My George.
Sometime.
Hit it, George.
So I tell you what, it's been a long time since I've done a negative review.
Oh, my.
Oh
It's
no.
it's been a
coming with a
long
warning
time
label.
since I've done a negative
right.
review.
Okay.
So,
I'm
anywho,
eager.
Oh my
So-
McNulty over here. Oh gosh.
He's
Mhm.
worried.
yeah, hold on,
No, I'm not.
hold on to your butts, chat. All right. So, starts off with the Sin Eater who's growing an army of little Sin Eaters.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what villains do. Norman's done it. You know, you've got all these little minion villains, right, that dress like you and are probably just pretty clueless. None of these people have jobs. So, you know, so they've all got their most of them have baseball bats, right?
Right.
Most of them have baseball bats. A couple of them have like hammers. There's one chick with like a spatula.
Yeah,
Frying
she's
pan.
carrying a spatula.
Not a
I didn't know
spatula.
it was
a
Not a
frying pan.
spatula. She's got like a
Frying
frying
pan.
pan.
a
Skillet.
frying pan.
Skillet.
Yeah,
Yes.
skillet. There we go. Skillet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're just going to the street beating ass. And as Spider-Man's narrating this, you find out that they don't really need much of a reason to beat ass, and sometimes they probably don't even care if they're wrong or right. They're just going to beat ass.
Mhm.
So Spider-Man is out trying to stop the Sin Eaters' ass beaters. And he talks about how overwhelming it's getting. Suddenly, it's more than he can handle. And I'm like, dude, you fought Fire Lord.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, I'm digressing. So he calls in a friend for help, Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man. So he and Miles clean house on some of these guys, and then he and Miles wind up, they head off to have a heart-to-heart talk. Meanwhile, Norman's at Ravencroft being crazy, literally the inmate running the asylum. And I was reading this, and it just struck me. And I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I'm like, how the hell does Norman Osborn keep doing this kind of thing?
Mhm.
Because money.
He keeps breaking the law, going to super jail.
Mhm.
Actually, I think he's only gone to super jail once,
Mhm.
technically. But I mean, like, look at all the crap he did, like during, like after Civil War and the Dark Reign or whatever the hell that was, and Sword and everything.
Right.
And now he's just back. He's got a new job in a field he has no experience in. But anyway,
I know he's got experience being crazy.
he's got experience being crazy, but not treating crazy people. So anyway, his security detail busts in, and they're like, "Dude, we got to get you out of here, right? Because we can't hold the gates, and these people are coming for you, and the inmates are going crazy." And they show like a panel of like all these like armed guards. I mean, they've got like riot shotguns and like automatic weapons and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're facing down people with baseball bats. And they're like, "We can't hold the gate." And I'm like, "Really? Have you tried? Have you tried?" So anyway, Norman's like, "No, we're not going anywhere. I'm right where I want to be." We've always got other weapons at our disposal. And then down in the vault, you see, something large hammering away at the vault. I forgot what was in the vault.
They explain it in the next issue.
Mhm.
So JR can take that one.
I missed that part.
Mhm.
Okay.
I missed that part. Okay. So anyway, so Miles and Peter are having their heart to heart, and he's like, "Yeah, these guys are going after Norman." And then Miles is like, "Have you thought about just letting them kill him?" And on the one hand, I'm like, suddenly Miles Morales says something I can get on board with.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's troublesome to me because Miles Morales is wearing a Spider-Man costume.
True.
And that didn't sit well with me at all.
Yeah.
Now Miguel O'Hara wears Spider-Man costume, has no problem killing a guy if he needs killing, but he doesn't go out of his way to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that was disconcerting. So number one, we've got Miles in the comic. Can't stand Miles. He's part of the Ultimate Universe. What could possibly make that worse?
I think I know what you're going to.
I know.
Wait, there's more.
If we could show the fire-throwing Hulk clone Goblin from the Ultimate Universe, one of the single most hated things for me. I hate this thing worse than I hate symbiotes.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Or Carly
JR
Cooper.
Or Carly Cooper. Yeah, JR can remember how much I hated this back in the day.
Yeah,
Oh,
I remember.
Absolutely.
Woo! So, yeah, so that's Miles's pitch. Miles is like, yeah, we got to stop him. Maybe we wait until after they kill Norman.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, that's odd, but weird flex, but okay. Thanks, Miles. Thanks for the pep talk. And Spider-Man swings off into the city. He's thinking back to his history with Norman. Going back to like in his early days. There's a lot of callbacks to old stuff in here. Some of it good, some of it awful. But like the panel, where like what issue was that, JR, where like Peter first realized that Norman knew who he was, and Norman had the crazy sweat and he was shaking his hand too hard. It was right
30,
before
39.
Oh well, that
30.
actually, that was when he. That's when Norman found out was 39. But what George is referring to is the old Spectacular Spider-Man #2.
Yes, the magazine.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, he's thinking back to his history with Norman. Meanwhile, the Sin Eater's goons, armed with bats and tire irons and hammers, right? They're in front of Ravencroft, and apparently the security guards are gone. The security guards with shotguns and automatic weapons, I guess, got overwhelmed.
With the
And so you got Sin Eater outside at the gates calling Norman out. Norman's just sitting there watching this casually. Norman's like, this is Tuesday. Right? So Sin Eater then reaches out and touches all of his minions and gives them his Jim Jones supernatural gift or whatever. They all get empowered. They get crazy eyes, and then he tells them all to go out and cleanse. And they gather their crowbars and their hammers and their hatchets and shovels and baseball bats and storm the gates.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut to Spider-Man, who's like, because he keeps monologuing.
Yeah.
We see him beating some ass on the Sin Eater guys, but he's thinking about all the things that Norman has cost him through the years,
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't it be better for Norman to just go away? And we've seen this with Peter before. This is consistent with Peter. Peter always has the moral dilemma, but at the end, he always does the right thing because it's Peter, because it's Spider-Man, and that's what he should do.
Right.
So meanwhile, he's fighting these goons, and then, hey, look at Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen shows up, and then Spider-Man sitting there thinking about her fake history and all that stuff, and they're webbing down the guys that they just beat ass on, and then they start talking about Norman too, and Spider-Man's like, gee, sometimes I wonder if my Gwen, the dead one, the one that was crazy, the one that I couldn't save, if she's like up in heaven waiting for me to finish what I promised her I would do, which was kill Norman.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, trust me, if Gwen is up in heaven, dude, she's in a padded cell, wrapped up in a straitjacket, hitting her head against the wall, hooked up to a Thorazine drip, because she was crazy.
Wait a minute. I think George is making shit.
No, whoa. I said, hang on. I said, if she was in heaven, JR.
He said if. He said if.
He said if.
I prefaced mine with actual, conjecture, unlike you. So he finishes his talk with fake Gwen. Meanwhile, we cut back to Norman inside the jail. He's like with a security guard. They're trying to get somewhere safe, and then the security guard gets knocked out by like a shotgun. But suddenly these guys have guns now. One of them's got a golf club in the back. I do like how the artist goes in like these weird things, like the skeleton, the golf club, it's not a golf club, it's a hockey stick.
Mm-hmm.
No, okay.
And then so they knock the security guard out. Norman's just kind of, surrounded on all sides now by crazy Sin Eater people. And I'm thinking, you fools, he's not trapped in there with you.
You're trapped in there with him.
You're trapped in there with him. But yeah, Spider-Man finally comes to a decision. He's like, oh, geez, I better help him out. It's like, remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Remember the musical episode? Once More with Feeling. There was a line in Spike's song, which for me is the best song in the entire film or the entire episode.
Okay.
And Spike is lamenting the fact that Buffy's headed off to danger, and he's like, what is it? What were the exact words? I hope she fries. I'm free if that bitch dies.
I guess I'll go help her out.
I better help her out.
Oh, that's good.
So that's basically where Spider-Man is. He's like, man, I hate Norman. I really would love Norman to die. I better go save Norman.
That sums it up pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. So he's headed off to Ravenscroft, and it's like Norman's life is in danger, but I'm going to take as long as I can and try to talk to as many people as possible on my way there.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
You
Very
know,
much so.
I better go rush off and save Norman, who's in there in a compound that's been, being laid siege to for, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes at this point. No, not a cop anywhere. These are people with bats.
Skillet.
Security ran off, and there's not one cop. There's like security cars with red and blue lights inside the gates. Because we saw them earlier in the issue when we saw the security guards, with the riot shotguns and the automatic weapons. Yeah. No cops, no anything. So Spider-Man's on a roof thinking about, well, yeah, I guess I better get down and beat ass. And then Julia Carpenter shows up, the new Madam Web, who I liked a lot more when she was Spider-Woman 2.
Same.
But and then so he recalls her history, everyone who's coming around, he's kind of thinking to his head, oh yeah, I know this person, I better review their history internally.
Yeah.
So he talks to Julia, and Julia's like, look, dude, if you let Norman Osborn walk, Norman Osborn's going to kill again. And I'm like, well, duh, thank you, Captain Obvious, for for telling us what we already knew. But then Spider-Man's like, she's got a point. Who does he go after next? And he's thinking about Aunt May. He's thinking about Mary Jane. And so what does he do? He clenches his fist and rushes off to go save Norman, so that presumably Norman can kill one of his another loved one someday. So he smashes into the building, takes out to the asylum, takes out some of the Sin Eater's goons, grabs Norman. Yeah. And Norman is like, get your hands off me. What the hell do you think you're doing? Norman's actually shocked. He's like, the hell? WTF? And so Spider-Man says, look, I'm here to save you. And then he knocks him out. Or didn't knock him out, but he hits him. He tells him he's rescuing him. Meanwhile, you've got Julia Carpenter, Fake Gwen, Ultimate Miles, Aranya, Silk, and Jessica Drew all showing up, deciding, well, I can't believe it. He did it. He went off to save Norman Osborn, like a superhero. We're gonna have to unite and stop him.
Yeah.
And
pretty accurate.
The only one who's actually talking any sense is Jessica Drew. Because Jessica Drew's like, there are other ways we could have done this, period. There's other ways we could approach this right here. And Jessica Drew's probably thinking, when she says there are other ways we could have done this, Jessica Drew means we're going to get our asses beat. Spider-Man will probably kick all of our asses.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it ends with them on the roof and them and Miles, and they're like, we have to stop Spider-Man. To be continued. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Now look.
Yeah.
First of all, review. Okay, review on this is D-.
D-. Let's go around the horn.
Jay, I haven't given anything to Spencer that has been lower than a B. I don't think.
I've never heard you giving a D- to Spencer. JR,
I gave it a C+.
Ashley,
B-.
Mike,
C.
Kelly.
I didn't even write it. I gave it a B+.
I'm giving it a B-, very close to a C. Did you notice, George, that they got the artist wrong in the credits? It's Mark Bagley art. Yeah. They credited somebody else.
I didn't look at the credits.
I didn't even notice. I didn't even. I didn't check that out.
That was a big editorial goof.
Yeah.
I guess when you're trying to shoehorn in a giant editorial event.
Yeah,
that kind of thing happens.
What? Give me pro. You want to do cons first, George? You're so wound up on it. You want to do cons and then pros, or what do you want to do?
We can do pros right quick. The pros are going to be quick.
Okay, let me hear your pros. We'll go around the horn with pros too.
The art was nice,
even though it wasn't credited to Mark Bagley.
That was mine. That was mine too.
Mike, well, there's two pros done. JR, you got some pros. Norman's in it.
Yeah, well, no, actually, one of the things I did like about it was it almost kind of reminded me in a way of a reverse Frankenstein. Like, for example, the villagers with pitchforks and torches are chasing Frankenstein, and but Norman is just saying, "Hey, come and get it, you motherfucker." Honestly, he's just standing there and he's just enjoying this. It's like, man, I just can't wait to kick some ass. So I did like that aspect.
I did like the internal conflict of Spider-Man having to rescue his arch enemy.
I did too. That is true.
That's a solid story.
That's boilerplate Spider-Man.
Yeah, but this is Norman Osborn.
No, I didn't say that. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying that's standard fare for a Spider-Man story. This is in the wheelhouse.
But he's sharing this dilemma with the wrong people.
Who the dilemma should be Mary Jane? Who the dilemma be? Yeah,
exactly. Mary Jane. This man has taken so much from me, taken so much from us.
Oh,
Should I just... and then she would say, Peter, the only person who can hate him more than me is you. But you are a hero, stuff like that. But George is having a conversation with these nobodies. This is not their business. This is not their fight.
That's true. That's true. George's point of Miles wearing a Spider-Man suit, wanting to kill somebody,
he's just all kinds of wrong.
And especially a next generation hero.
Now, see.
What, real quick, what, Ashley?
What'd you say?
And there are lots of people wearing Spider-Man suits who want to kill somebody.
Yeah, but Miles is essentially the next generation. Yeah. And that would be wrong for the next generation to learn from Spider-Man to be a killer, which he's not. I agree.
Technically, I've been throwing a devil's advocate for a second. Technically, the Sinister wouldn't be killing Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
He's basically, because he would, what he would do with his Linkara magic shotgun is basically just
But it's the equivalent.
Basically making him quote unquote a good person, but at the same time, it's still kind of it's a
what Kelly?
Yeah.
It's sketchy.
Well, I was gonna say, to add on to that though, is it's explained better in the Osborn one shot than it is in this issue.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you let the mob kill Norman Osborn, it's like letting the burglar run past you after the wrestling match, because consequences of that lead to something else. And Miles should know that from Peter's history.
Yeah.
I mean,
it surprised me that Miles said it. I can see somebody else maybe saying it, someone older and a little more hard bitten. But in talks, in just like talks with my own son, for example, or my own kids, they tend to be a little bit more naive, optimistic. Maybe there's hope. Maybe there's something. And it's us old farts who are like,
kill him.
Yeah.
So
we're more jaded. Having the conversation again. He's having the conversation with the wrong person. And Miles that didn't sound. I don't know Miles that well, but that just doesn't. Unless the Sin Eater is doing some kind of fear thing on everybody, that doesn't sound like something somebody like Miles would say.
I don't think so either.
Like it's happening. What I feel like happened with this issue is Miles' character got kind of overridden because they wanted to feature him more prominently in this little lineup of, conversations he was having, because you've got the game coming out soon. They want to hype him up, Miles Morales Spider-Man. They want to basically advertise that. But he also needed to have a conversation with someone and have them be like, well, why don't you just kill him? And so since they kind of had Miles in that feature slot already, they kind of sacrificed his character for those other directives and said, well, let's just do this.
Yeah. So, I don't like the character of Miles, specifically because Miles is related to the Ultimate Universe, which I cannot stand. Which I would love to see. I wouldn't piss on the Ultimate Universe if it was on fire. All right. So to have Miles show up here, and I've seen Miles show up in other comics before, but I'm like JR. I don't really have a frame of reference for how Miles is going to react to something or talk about a certain way, right? I don't really have a reference for that. But to see somebody in a Spider-Man costume that calls himself Spider-Man, that Spider-Man looks at as kind of like a legacy, to sit there and go, maybe you let him die.
Yeah.
That rubbed me the wrong way.
Talk about Miguel. You said is also a legacy hero. He doesn't mind killing. Does that bother you?
I don't really. I mean, Miguel technically is a legacy hero, but Miguel was completely separate. I mean, like Miguel's like in a future like where Peter's dead.
Well,
Yeah, he's a little
Miles is
edgy.
now too. Peter's dead there too.
Well,
No, he's here now, Brad.
yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Miguel was in a bubble. Miguel didn't have any kind of inspiration from the original hero. He didn't, other than the name. He didn't. So
I'm sorry. Not only that, before I forget, old man train of thought, he was raised by Aunt May and Uncle Ben. I mean, doesn't have that. Miguel doesn't quite have that strong moral fiber background, teachings that Peter had. So anyway, sorry.
And that was kind of supposed to be the niche that Miguel filled as well. He was like, what if Spider-Man didn't really have that really rigid moral backbone? What if he were a little looser in his how he goes about things?
Now he didn't. I mean, like Miguel didn't go out of his way to kill people, but I mean, if it came down to it, and Miguel had to kill somebody, Miguel didn't have a problem with killing somebody.
Right.
He's glog.
I remember Peter David saying when he designed the character, he wanted to be as far away from Peter as he could.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted him to have a mom and a dad. He wanted him to have a brother. He wanted him to be a minority, etc. Several things, just the complete opposite of what Peter Parker is.
Yeah.
So Peter Parker's not a killer. You what?
Now that's that's one thing. Miguel exists kind of off on his own for that reason.
Yeah.
All right. Miles is completely different. Miles was inspired by the fake Spider-Man in the other universe. Then he became Spider-Man, and now he's here, and he's still inspired by the real Spider-Man. That just rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, this is not how a spider-clad hero is supposed to talk.
Before we go full on cons, Ashley, Mike, and Kelly, what pros did you guys have for this issue?
They were, like you said, the artwork, and also that I think I did kind of like the moral dilemma, even though this is kind of leading to Psychon. I thought it did get a little bit repetitive after a while, but
it did. It was like Marvel team up with another one.
Yeah.
Who's that rapper that says another one?
DJ Khaled.
There you go, another one. Yeah. Kelly, what's your pros? What'd you have?
My pro is I don't hate on Spider-Gwen. I do wish she was in her own universe and not in 616, but I do enjoy her as a character, and I enjoyed this characterization and what she told Peter, which was basically, hey, stop comparing me to a dead girl. That's not me, but also I'm pretty sure if you did that same thing to her, she'd be mad too. So stop.
I like
I'm not
that
a saint,
well.
I'm a person, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I kind of like that too, actually. I remember. What were you saying, Ashley?
Going off what Kelly was saying, it just felt like it was doing a service to Gwen's character, just like, hey, can we stop contextualizing her only in the instance of her death? Can we recognize that she was a character, she's a person? Can she stop being tied to this instance and only being defined by that?
Exactly.
I mean, they called her Spider-Gwen.
Well, that's because they didn't want to call her Spider-Woman. That's the kiss of death.
Spider Chick, Spider Gal, something.
Oh no, they call her Ghost Spider now.
Calling her Ghost Spider,
calling her Spider Gwen says, "Oh, hey, look, it's Gwen," but it's not. But it is. It's not. But it is.
I feel like that name kind of came from fans first, and
I agree.
It did,
and they went with it for marketing purposes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right.
I think like on the toys and merchandise and stuff, they don't say Spider Gwen. It is Ghost Spider.
It is Ghost Spider. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's open up the floodgates. George, hit it. Or the cons.
Right. So, I mean, I've already got into some of it a little bit. The Miles thing.
The Miles thing is huge.
This Sin Eater story should not be taking this long.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It really should not. And it just keeps dragging on, and now we're doing the Order of the Spider, which is an asinine name.
I agree.
It is a name worthy of our scorn and derision. All right. And So yeah, it's like it's not even a Spider-Man story anymore. It's the story of these people trying to stop Spider-Man from actually doing stuff that Spider-Man would do.
Yeah,
And the
that's
Sin Eater
true.
just kind of happens to be there. This whole thing would have been better if we didn't have all of the crappy, legacy heroes.
Yeah.
If we just had Peter wrestling with his own thoughts, having to go get Norman, having
True.
to go rescue Norman. This entire issue would have been so much better had we just focused on that. But no, that's not what we did. Instead, we had to have Peter saying, "Oh, they're going after Norman. Right now, I better stop. I better go to different spots in the city and talk to 3 different people."
Yeah.
So
Kills the momentum and the flow, doesn't it?
it really does. It really does. And I'm going to tie back into that in a second.
What it feels like is, when you're playing a video game and, you save before the last level and you have that one moment where all your party is walking around and you can go talk to everyone before you go to the final boss fight.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's so much in here. I'm sorry, Brad.
I envisioned the God of War levels, Ashley, when you said that. I'm like, let me go talk to him about my sword. Let me talk to this guy. Let me talk to that. Okay, let's go fight a dragon. Yeah, I totally get it.
So
it works for video game pacing.
Yes.
So you've got all these. Number one, you've got Miles. You've got Spider-Gwen. You've got Aranya. You've got Madam Web, and I like Julia Carpenter, but again, she was a better Spider-Woman too than anything else.
I agree.
But you've got these things that I don't like in there already, and then you compound them by throwing in more things that I can't stand, like the fire throwing Hulk clone Goblin.
Yeah, I hate that too.
The Carnage Goblin.
Yeah.
So that kept knocking it down for me many grades. Yeah. I mean, like this whole thing was just, it was like, remember I said one time on the show, a cascade of fail.
Yeah, it's raining fail.
This became a cascade of fail for me. There were things that didn't make sense, like with the security guards with automatic weapons and shotguns, can't hold back people with baseball bats.
Yeah.
That was weird for me. It's just that, there were so many things in there that I hated. And whenever there were things in there, like in a story that I hate, I start to notice other little things that I would have otherwise not cared about if the story had been more focused, had been tighter, had been better. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, none of the stuff with Miles, again, seeing somebody in a Spider-Man suit, say that. But then at the end, to have all of them come to the decision that they have to stop Spider-Man. Jessica Drew is an Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That they have to stop Spider-Man from saving Norman Osborn.
So they all want to kill him. They all want to let Norman die, essentially. All the heroes.
And it is so it's antithetical to me, to some of those people, being Jessica Drew and Julia Carpenter. Now, I'll give her a pass because she was in. She was part of that whole edgy thing. Remember, like Force Works, like back in the 90s.
Yeah,
it was a lot more hard edged.
She's an Avenger too. Avengers West Coast.
Yeah, she was, but she hadn't been an Avenger for a long time. Jessica Drew, on the other hand,
is it this issue that all the Spider people see Peter dying, or is that the next issue?
That's going to be the next one.
Okay, because that's their motivation. That explains why they want to stop him.
But they don't explain it this time.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna bring that up in the review of this issue.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff didn't work for me. Jessica Drew still did though, because Jessica Drew again points out, there's 17 million different ways we could have done this. But at the end of the day, so this is awful. This for me is and again, a lot of this comes from my own biases of not liking things that they threw in here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't put this on Spencer. I put this on editorial.
Yes.
The order of the web being here feels forced.
Yep.
The fact that the Sin Eater storyline is taking 4.5 years, and it itself is part of a larger storyline.
Yep, I agree.
Feels editorial. I don't lay this at Nick Spencer's feet. In fact, I would be surprised to find out, or I wouldn't be surprised to find out if Nick Spencer was getting fatigued from this. from all the stuff that they're making him put in.
I would be as a writer. Like, here's my story, what I want to do. Now cram all this in. We saw what happened with Sam Raimi.
This is
on
why
Spider-Man 3.
This is why Peter David stops writing comics after 12
Exactly.
issues.
Real quick, before I open it up to the rest of the panel for the cons, DC Marvel fan guy wants to know, what did you think of Sin's Rising up until then? George?
Oh, Sin Rising.
Was that the one shot, or is that this whole storyline?
That's the whole
storyline.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
The premise it started off really interesting.
Yeah.
It did. It started off really interesting, and I mean, Sin Eater is a character that a lot of us remember and a lot of us like, but it is just spiraled so out of control.
Yeah.
And it's just so it's being crushed underneath its own weight.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so unwieldy now, and it's just I love Sprinter's run overall. I still do. All right.
Yeah.
But I lay this on editorial. I think most of this is editorial driven, and it's stuff that Spencer has to throw in there, and it's kind of throwing the story that he wanted to tell. It's probably throwing that off.
Matt wants to know, and JR, maybe you can get this one. Do you think this stuff with Norman could be related to the Dark Avengers by chance?
No chance.
No chance?
I don't think so.
George, anything else before we open it up to the rest of the panel?
I hope this turns around, man. Because I mean, it's been what, over 2 years now since, and I'm sorry, I'm eating pistachio. I can't stop.
Well, it's the
They're
coffee
delicious.
and the nicotine. Yeah.
It's compulsive at this point. I can't stop it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to put them over here.
Right.
There we go. Now I'm going to freak out. I'm just start twitching. But no, this needs to turn around. They need to let Spencer just tell stories. And I say that they need to. They're not going to. It's Marvel. It's today's Marvel. Today's Marvel is all about cross pollination. Promote everything else. And everything else. And it's just. It reminded me of why I don't read more comics.
Yeah.
It 100% reminded me of why I'm only reading one damn title.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at on this, and I turn this around.
JR, you got some cons?
Well, I mentioned the big one is that Spider-Man is having this conversation with the wrong people.
Right.
For one, like I said, the whole thing about, I made a promise to Gwen that I would kill Norman Osborn. He shouldn't be telling this to Gwen, 15-year-old Gwen. He should be telling this to Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Spider-Man's going, boy, I really need some help. So I call a friend. I'm going to call a 16-year-old to 16-year-old. I'm not going to call Matt Murdock. I'm not going to call Johnny Storm. I'm not even going to call Clash. I'm going to call a kid. A friend. Peter, I'm sorry, but you're 30-something years old, right? Or you should be. You're calling this is my friend.
15-year-old Gwen who I used to date. Yeah.
People would start to talk. So that just
I thought of this real quick with Gwen. Kelly and I brought up that it's nice to see her telling Peter, stop looking at me as Gwen and let Gwen be her own person outside of this event.
That's true.
But it also feels like they only bring her in to comment on Peter's feelings about his universe's Gwen Stacy and the kind of the messy feelings there, which is unfortunate. She's not really allowed, even though what she's saying as a character is refuting that, her role in the story is at the same time reinforcing that that's her purpose here.
Yeah,
so it'd be nice if they want to bring her in and tie her in, let her be your own character, show don't tell.
Well, I honestly took that panel almost as a, saying, hey, editorial told me I had to include her, but I'm not including her to be like this. So as best as I can, I'm going to make sure she has some kind of, purpose, just have her own independence at least a little bit. And because that's the thing is she even in the next issue we review, she's the last person to get on board because she does it's essentially it's the way it's written is yes, these characters have to be in here because we were told to,
Yeah.
but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to write them in the way that they want me to.
Yeah, we're getting Spencer's
True.
take on each character through their
Exactly.
dialogue.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So
Etc.
that, and honestly, like, editorial is my con on all of
Yeah.
this.
I
So
agree.
everybody's already explained that.
Anything else about this issue before we move on to the next one?
I was kind of confused
Yeah.
as how the Sin Eater and all of his little followers were even at Ravenclaw, because in the previous issue, Spider-Man was already there confronting the Sin Eater and all of his group.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just stop him there?
God, he had to run off and talk to 3 different people.
I guess so. I guess so, right?
He had to go do a Google Meet. He had to meet all those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I'm
not
like,
social
man.
distancing very well.
They
No,
aren't.
no.
Well, they do
Well,
have
they are
masks
all
on. They
wearing
got
masks.
masks. They got
Oh.
masks on.
Oh,
There you
they
go.
do have masks on. That's true.
Yeah. All
Are they
right.
washing their hands?
Mhm.
I
They
did
aren't.
see a panel where they're washing their hands.
Those frying pans and baseball bats look dirty. All
Yeah.
right.
I have a beef real quick. What is
Okay.
with? Why is Norman Osborn drawn like this beefcake? Why is his neck so thick? Is he usually? He's not usually drawn like this.
Did you just call
He's
Norman
gained
Osborn
like
thick?
80 pounds.
Yes.
She's called him Beefcake.
Yeah.
He's like beefcake
Oh,
Norman. I'm
no.
like, what's going on? I'm not
Well,
saying that
it's-
in like a hunky kind of way. It's just
What?
like
Are
It's
you
better
sure
than the
about that,
picture of
Ashley?
him looking like he had no teeth, though, about an issue or
Yeah.
two ago, where he was
Oh,
all
that's
pushed
true.
face
his
and no
neck extends past his ears.
JR, this is the first time on the podcast we've ever heard the quote, JR, Norman looks thick. All right. Okay.
That's what
Moving
Gwen
on
said.
to.
God
oh, Lord.
Almighty.
Oh,
Damn.
Oh,
no.
Wah, wah, wah. All right.
You're a monster.
You are. The Amazing Spider-Man, The Thickness of Norman Osborn is what this one's called.
Oh, God.
What a friend we have in Jesus.
All
right. We've got on the
All right.
cover, we've got Kindred, we've got Silk. What did Silk do in the last issue? I don't even remember. Just show up?
Nothing.
Yeah, she
He
just showed up.
He
Okay.
stood dramatically.
And she just shows up here, too.
Yeah,
That's-
we got
Why-
Jessica
Why
Drew.
is
We got
her hair short on the cover? Her hair's
Jess,
short on the cover, but it's long in the issue.
Are they
Oh,
getting an ongoing or something? Is that where they're
Yeah.
going with this?
we're getting
Yeah.
a Silk ongoing.
Yeah,
Yes,
I want
again.
Ugh.
We got Jessica Drew, Miles, Aranya wearing what's her name's old suit? No, I guess that's not her old suit. Jessica, what's Spider?
Julia Carpenter.
Julia Carpenter's old suit, and Spidey. So take me through this one. It's another Spencer written issue, JR.
Mhm. Well, the issue opens up with the same boring ass conversation that we left off with the previous issue of Amazing Spider-Man, but which this should also be an issue of Amazing Spider-Man, but
It
it's
should.
not. And don't use the excuse that, oh, we wanted the story to end on 850, and if we had called it Amazing Spider-Man, then the story would have ended on 851. Well, that's totally bogus, because you could have cut off an issue of GOG or that whole Craven slash dump thing that you had more than a year or so ago, and you could have ended the story at 850. But no, you had to come up with this. And not only that, but the
Yeah.
title of the book is grossly misleading, which we'll get to later.
Yes.
So we have Screwable Madam Web saying the same thing that she ended last issue saying.
Wow.
They have to stop Spider-Man. And then she brings up the whole totem thing to explain why we have to have all these useless ass guest stars. You know, and it's like, why do we gotta keep doing the whole totem crap thing anyway? Because we want to have another Spider-Verse event? Is that it? Like 2 of them wasn't enough? Gee whiz.
Yeah.
You know. But then we find out that all of the Spider Buddies each had a dream. You know, I had a dream. They each had a dream that Peter Parker was killed by Norman Osborn. And Screwable Madam Web says that they have to intervene, you know, to save Peter because the web is crying out in anguish that her champion is about to fall. Yawn, yawn, yawn. Anyway, we now go to Artemis. I mean, Ravencroft, okay, because as we saw last issue, our hero, Norman Osborn, was under attack by a vicious, mob comprised of about 5 people who have a legitimate complaint against him, and about 1,000 others who are either virtue signaling or rioting in Ravencroft because they heard that they wanted to steal all of Ravencroft's electronics, like high-def TVs, PlayStation, video games, Blu-ray players, computers and all that.
PS5 to get that Miles game. Yeah.
So, there's a few people there who want to kill Norman, and the rest of them just want to steal stuff. So that's why they're there. Anyway, that self-righteous, interfering do-gooder, Spider-Man, swings in to save Norman, but our hero doesn't need saving. He doesn't need any of Spider-Man's attempts to assuage his guilt and make himself feel better. No.
Yeah.
And to prove it, he triumphantly mangles one of the Sin Eater's goons, because after all, he's the friggin' Green Goblin. And which the writers of the Ravencroft mini seem to keep forgetting, because they let John Jameson slam him up against the wall, or they let him get shot. Oh, look, my arms and his leg. He's a goddamn Green Goblin. So anyway.
And this is why I give the book to JR.
Anyway, but and then of course Norman comes up with the burn. He says, besides, you can't save me. You're not very good at saving people anyway. At least not in my experience. So you just go.
That was a great burn. Great burn.
Ooh. Well, of course, the amazing Snowflake Man doesn't take well this little shot of reality across the bow, and after a childish expression of anger, he tells Norman that he knows he's up to something, that there's something there in Arkham, Ravencroft, that he's trying to get to, and Spidey is going to be right there when he gets to it, because he and Norman are in this to the bitter end. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, back to Spider-Man's utterly useless and redundant friends, who are doing more of the, if Spider-Man would just let the Sin Eater kill Osborn, then he wouldn't be in danger, and the world will be all sunshine and roses and wet puppy kisses, blah, 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 blah. So, anyway, but in a staggering surprise, the blonde is the one that makes sense. And she says, and drops a truth bomb, that maybe it's Nick Spencer alluding to something bigger, or maybe he's just trolling us. But anyway, Gwen says, something's not really right. The Sin Eater's a scumbag. Not only that, but he's the dead comes back from the dead scumbag. It's
Real quick, JR, Venkman loves you so much, he did a super chat, and he says, do you have any more push-ups?
That's coming in 850. So, but
there you go, Venkman. Thank you, sir.
But Spider-Gwen says, this whole Sin Eater thing ain't such a good idea either. And she goes, and after all, when you make a deal with the devil, you gotta pay the price.
Ooh.
Hint, we hope. But anyway, that's something that our illustrious crawl space reviewers mentioned as well. All right.
On the reviews,
back at the loony bin, the Sin Eater digs back into all 4 of the Gospels to drop a money changer and cleansing the temple reference. Okay, and then we flash back to his own moment on the cross, where he's beseeching the one who called him, saying, "Why have you forsaken me? What do I do now?" And then Mr. Negative shows up begging to be cleansed. And the Sin Eater proclaims, "He hears me, he answers my prayers." And then he shoots Martin Lee and gains the Mr. Negative powers, which convert people to, I'm too big.
Okay, sorry. You were just going all, your goblin bobblehead was like rocking on the boat. I had to full screen you, bro.
You scared me. Oh my God. But anyway, so he shoots Martin Lee and he gains the negative powers. All right. Anyway, so returning to the present, our hero, Norman Osborn, leads Spider-Man to the cell that he was imprisoned in when he was all under the influence of the Carnage symbiote, and leads Spider-Man to a secret room where he's concocting a brilliant scheme Spider-Man sees a map of Empire State and asks, "What are you doing down here, Norman?" And Norman responds, "Well, I'm making sure that any comic book with my name on it isn't going to be like that worthless piece of crap money grab about the Sin Eater snake handling father that no one gave a rat's ass about." That's what you're doing down here.
Oh, bravo. By the way, as you take a drink, I find it absolutely hysterical, JR, that the more crazy you sound, the views just keep going up. We were up to 34, 35 people watching. You were bringing it. Okay, a little bit more crazy. Go.
All right. So, anyway, all right. Now, Spider-Man, you see this high security cell that Dark Mark and Chi-Town have been speculating who's behind it? All right. Well, he's going to turn the tide of this fight. Ack! He's gone! That's impossible! Who let that lard ass out?
So
And then
tell,
we find
tell
out that-
George who it is. Yeah.
And then we find out that it was Dr. Kafka, who's really a clone, right? Didn't we find this out in
Yes,
the Raven?
I guess.
It's really a clone. All right.
I think
The
so.
only other person with access to the cell. But the Sin Eater got to her and Benny Hinder so that she lets out the prisoner. And it's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you know, who saw that coming? Not Chi-Town
Well,
or
definitely.
Dark Park. But then again,
Nope.
none of us either.
Yeah, true. None of us actually did.
Benny Hinder, it's the Juggernaut bitch, is got to be one of the best JR lines.
Anyway, before Juggy can go all amazing Spider-Man 229 and 230 on Ravencroft, it appears, although we'll have to wait until next issue, it appears that maybe the Sin Eater cleansing, but we'll have to wait for that. Okay, and then we waste 3 friggin' pages with a newly christened Order of the Web talking mumbo jumbo and working up the balls to go to Cravencroft to probably F things up even worse. Now that they have a name, does anybody see a miniseries or another title or something coming? Now that they have a name,
Yep.
What are they called again? The Spider.
The Order of the Spider.
Oh yeah.
or
Yeah,
Order of the
yeah.
Web or something.
The only called the
Well,
order.
they feel like they've worn out Spider-Verse, so they want to try and do something new.
Order
until they
of the
learn
Spider. Yep.
They should
Me-
call it They should call it the Order of the Death of Originality.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right,
it sounds like a new Dragon Con cult.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Order of the Death of Organic Storytelling.
So anyway,
It
so
sounds like
Spider-Man
they
is
all
going
need, like,
all white.
matching hooded robes.
What, Ashley? I missed it. What?
It sounds like they all need matching hooded robes.
Yes.
Like the Avengers in the '90s had those coats or those jackets.
No, they need they all no. They only matching Ben Riley hoodies.
Oh no,
That's really
Like
man.
from like it's at a Hot Fuzz or something. The
There you
neighborhood.
go.
JR, before you hit third gear, let me get your ego going. JR is on top of his game tonight, says Heroing. So Float, JR is my hero. Enigma, this is why I love JR's recaps.
Like to see the
And
crazy man
then
go
Power
crazy.
Pack says, God bless you, JR. And then Matt is sarcastic and says, JR is getting his mental health checked at where again?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Obviously, I skipped my last appointment. I was supposed to go to
Wow.
Ravencroft for it,
Yeah.
but
You were supposed to be a part of the Order of the Spider, right?
no, the Order of the Cult of the Goblin, right? The Order
Oh,
of the
yeah,
Goblin.
yeah, there you go.
There you go. JR is Ezekiel. Everything has come full circle now.
All right, JR, hit
Well,
that
we
third
are
gear.
old.
Hit
All
that
right,
third gear.
all right. Well, Spider-Man goes all whiny on Norman, and knocks him into a cabinet, demanding to know why he's done all this. And
Yeah.
Norman tells him it's because of Kindred. And Spider-Man, how do you know about him? Well, because Dark Mark thinks he's my dead son, but that's not important right now. But the Sin Eater was just the beginning. Kindred won't stop until both of us are dead, and he'll destroy the entire city to ensure that happens. And as we see the cabinet Norman was slammed into, we see his Green Goblin costume and weapons, and he says, like you said earlier, Spider-Man, we're in this together to the bitter end. To be continued!
That was Norman meets Shatner. What was that?
Oh my God.
All right, JR, what's your grade? Sounds like you love the hell out of that thing.
Well, it sounded like I loved it more than I did. I gave it a B-.
Okay. George.
That's it all right there.
Here's the thing. Remember when I covered the last? I read both of these earlier today,
Right.
and I'd forgotten the Juggernaut thing.
That's not good.
Aw.
Wow.
I mean, that's no. That's how inconsequential the whole thing was to me.
Yeah.
I read it 30 minutes ago and I forgot the Juggernaut thing.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
I'm giving this one. I'm going to give this one another D.
A D. Kelly, what's your grade?
B+, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's Norman Osborn in it.
Yeah. Mike?
C-.
C-. Ashley?
B- again.
B-. I'm closer to Kelly on this. I'm giving it a B, mainly because I love the Norman stuff so much. JR, I want to hear pros out of you. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious. Obviously, it's Norman. He gets in a good line.
Yeah.
He and Spider-Man are, Spider-Man, they're forced to kind of revisit their history. And Spider-Man kind of has to say, we've done this dance with death for way too many years now. Just like kind of and kind of the recognition that for better or for worse, they're tied together. Their fates are tied together. Like great arch enemies should be, like if one goes down, they're both going to go down at the same time. I don't know. I get that over it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just so I like that. But unfortunately the issue isn't all that.
What do you think of the red herrings? The flashback to Spec 200 with Harry dying, the mention of the devil. What do you think of those? Do you think those are legit or red herrings?
Was the reference to Harry in this issue or the prior one?
It was the prior one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. I mean, if Harry really didn't die, then why is Spider-Man thinking that Harry died?
Yeah.
Again, that could be something, or that could be just a glitch, I mean, to be honest. But I just, the fact that they keep talking about they've mentioned now that you can't make a deal with the devil. I really hope that means something.
Me too. Let's finally beat Mephisto.
At this pace, with all of the crossovers that it would take to get us there, we won't know for another decade.
Yeah, it's like when Moreland invaded the daily comic strip and said, "I can't do this. It's taking too long. I'll never get done."
They need to just stop jacking with this story and just let Spencer tell it.
Yeah,
and stop and check and forcing all these other things be added into it. It's terrible. It's a war crime.
Other pros. Who wants to go?
I do like the setup of this going into the next issue, that we're actually getting a Spider-Man Green Goblin team up as opposed to another, Spider-Man versus Green Goblin round 850 or something. But I also did appreciate the twists with because the Mr. Negative and Juggernaut thing being part of this thing. Although it does lead me to think that, because the Mr. Negative thing was kind of, even though it was kind of makes sense, the fact that he never really appeared prior to Spencer's run until this issue makes me think, maybe Kindred's reveal is going to be something random, like he actually is the resurrected Gwen Stacy or something, or instead of Carly Cooper or whatever. But it just seems like, but yeah, I appreciated the idea that they were kind of like the idea that for once Peter and Norman have to kind of actually work together, even though that they were kind of in conflict. And I think that's actually,
I think that's
against
cool.
a common foe. That's a cool idea. So props to Spencer, I think, for that kind of sewing that thing up and everything.
Real quick, I got an email from Marvel today.
Oh.
And they sent an.
Was it a JPEG of a middle finger?
No, it wasn't JPEG though. I want your reactions to this. I'm going to put it in the stream.
Uh-oh.
This it says the subject title is "Who's Coming into Dinner," and this is the image that it appears. So it looks like Kindred is cooking dinner, or there's a plate. Any speculation of what this is? This takes place after 850, so this is 851. So this is after the fact.
Oh.
I'm guessing Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, because guess who's coming to dinner? Almost
Yeah.
kind of reference.
Yeah.
It's that's almost
Very-
setting up.
Very
Yeah,
few people got that.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
I
almost
got
like
it.
He's no Spencer Tracy, I tell you that.
He's Nick
Mhm.
Spencer. Yeah. But any thoughts on what this means? Here, I can scroll it down a little bit.
Hopefully, this means it's. Hopefully, this
there's-
doesn't mean it's going to take 12 issues across 4 different titles and have 27 characters in it.
Who do you think Kindred is setting the place mat for, or the place setting? Do you think that's Peter?
I don't know.
maybe so. Maybe
Yeah.
so. I
I
mean,
think that's what they want us to think.
Yeah.
It's going to wind up being like another villain that he's going to imbue with powers to go off and do another, 8-part arc on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm so jaded just because of how long this has taken,
mhm.
and just because of how many things have been forced into what otherwise might have been an engaging story. I'm sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Peter Palmer 13 has, because that's what I was thinking too, was Spectacular Spider-Man 189.
Wait a minute, that's
But-
going to be a Harry tease, is what Peter Palmer says.
Yeah,
Okay.
but see, that's what I'm saying though, is that that also to me seems too obvious. So I don't know. I don't know.
Philip says spooky stuff just in time for Halloween,
Mhm.
and Matt loves your hat, Kelly.
Thank you. I made it myself because I couldn't find a snapback that I liked, and I wanted to glue a tiara on it for my birthday. So,
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's the one where Harry hosted dinner with Liz, Molten Man, and Normie? I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think Kindred and Cindy are working for someone. Oh, working for Mephisto, possibly?
More.
Kindred and Mephisto's motives seem so far away from one another.
Yeah.
I don't know that Kindred would be.
Do we have some more pros? I kind of distracted you all with that animated GIF, but I just had that in my email. I wanted to show it to you guys while we're on the air. Some other pros?
Most of my pros have really been said. I like the fact that Gwen seems to be the voice of reason here, even though they still make her do this stupid thing. But at least, again, it's more they're being very conscious of her as a person, and I think that that's kind of a rebellion against editorial a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
I like it. I like
He's-
when characters get to be good characters and solid and well-rounded, even though it doesn't make sense. I made a stupid edit of that panel because I am mad at Julia Carpenter. When everyone's like, "But why didn't we just talk to him?" And Julia's like, "Because it's not the way of the web." I was like, "Because which TikTok told me we had to hex the moon?" Because that's literally how she sounds. Like she sounds like one of those witch talkers that were like, "I'm gonna hex everything because I know everything," and they know nothing.
Mhm.
I agree. It was
The web
kind of
sounds like it
Spencer
needs to be
taking.
10 songs.
Yeah.
It was like Spencer taking the lemons and trying to make lemonade, is what I think you're saying.
Well,
Yeah.
now you guys know why I call Julie Carpenter the worst psychic in the world, because instead of just telling them flat out, "Hey, why didn't and so tell
Wow.
them what's going on," it's like, "No, we have to be cryptic and mystical and everything like this." Oh, that's not the way the web works. It's like,
Yeah.
It'll be the way the web works in the next crossover
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
or in the next forced event.
Mhm.
My,
we have to crowd
my
and
goodness,
Vinkman, don't we?
Vinkman, thank you.
Woo!
Yeah,
For
thank
another
you,
super
Vincent.
chat. Woo!
Oh man.
I've never even
Vinkman.
seen that color of donation.
God,
Thank you very much.
shame.
Wow.
Vinkman says it's probably the last time I'll bring this up, but earlier this year I quit Modern Monthly Comics for good, and I finally sold all my Spider-Man books from 1999 to present. Sounds like I'm not missing anything. George, that sounds just like you. You sold them all?
I did. I sold them
Yeah.
all, and the only thing I am buying monthly is this one title, ASM.
Amazing. Yeah. And why wasn't this issue? Well, George, JR, you addressed it. I thought this issue was better than the previous one that was actually Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're both crappy.
The only reason I think why they made this a tie-in issue instead of an actual issue of Amazing is because of what JR alluded to. They did not want this to be the 850th issue, because we have to have the 850 issue be like the big spectacular thing.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why this is a one
I
shot.
guarantee you, in 850, it's a $10 comic. They could have put this issue with the other one, and we
Yep.
would have had a big bang for our buck. I guarantee you there's going to be some little 10-page Aranya story in the back, a Spider-Woman story, etc. Go ahead, George.
Or
What were you saying?
Zub Spider.
Is that for real? Is $8.50 going to be $10?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
buying it.
Ooh.
I'm not buying it. Remember, I refused to buy the last time they did this.
That is
That's
true.
right. You didn't buy
$10.
wasn't it 800
Okay.
or
I will
600
not.
or
I
whatever?
will not do it.
Can
I
my
refuse.
first comic in my 30s not be $10, please? Thank you, Marvel. Why?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep,
Doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
I didn't know that. I did not
kind
know
of
it was gonna
wonder
be
if it. What I
$10.
kind of wonder might have happened too is if Nick Spencer is like, he probably knew well ahead of time that this editorial mandate was coming up, and so he passive aggressively paced the series so there'd be one extra comic before it came out.
There you go, George. There's the price right there on Comixology, $9.99.
Yep, that's a no for me,
Man.
dog.
Ooh.
October
Dang.
7th, 2020.
Because it's going to be 20 pages of story, and then it's going to be like another 80 pages of complete and
Inside
utter
story.
crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not paying
It's got
$10.
log on it.
It could be 100 pages of pure story, and I wouldn't pay $10 for it.
Yeah.
What if it were 100 pages of GOG?
I mean,
100
you know what?
pages of God.
No.
would, if it's 100 pages of GOG, I would pay $10, but that's because GOG.
And if
Hmm.
that were your first comic of your 30s,
Yeah.
what
That'd
a
be fine.
comic, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
No.
Back to comments. SoFlo says, Kindred is Harry or George Stacy. Gary and the Frozen. I guess we can go around who we think Kindred is after these two issues. JR, who do you think it is?
Well,
Is it Harry Osborn?
it seems like that's kind of always been my guess, to be honest. And I think in this issue, actually, when Julia Carpenter is thinking about Kindred or killing Peter, he actually looks like he's wearing a Goblin outfit. I mean, more so than I don't know if it's this issue or not, or if it was the previous issue. But it actually, Kindred with the point, and it looked like he was actually wearing a variation of the Goblin.
So we have one for Harry. George, and you probably don't care, but who do you think it is?
I've said from the get go I thought it was Harry.
Okay.
I've been it's Harry all along. That's the hill I'm going to die on.
We have two Harrys. Ashley?
I still think Kindred's going to be a woman, and they're going to make a big deal out of what a twist
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Same here.
So do you think it's what's her name? That George hates. That doesn't
Carly
narrow it down.
Cooper.
Yeah. Carly Cooper. You think it's Carly?
Well, we just saw Carly, so it can't be her. Unless she's
Well, you
been
never-
moonlighting.
Oh.
No, I do have an idea of why.
Oh, my
Okay, so we
goodness.
have a female guess. Mike, do you think it's a female also?
Oh yeah, I think it's either connected to Carly Cooper and it goes back to the lookups, or this is Squeezy Bank, aka the Gwen Stacy from
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gwen Stacy from where?
from
Squeezy
Clone
Bank.
Conspiracy.
The clone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a letdown that would be.
We call
Well,
it. We call that Gwen Squeezy.
If it's
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy, it's leaning more towards the Gwen column thing, because that would be the big ultimate twist. Like, oh my god, because there was all these references to Gwen, right?
That
And
is
it's like-
true.
Yeah.
And everything else, and so it's like,
Mhm.
oh, what if the big twist is? It's actually Gwen becomes the villain, and she's back from the dead. All that other great stuff. I mean,
Kelly,
that,
so we
I could
have
see him
Oh,
don't
no,
go there.
you know what? It'll be Gwen's the villain and Norman's the good guy.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
I mean, I like
Yep.
Norman
Evil's
being the
gonna
bad guy.
turn.
I enjoy that. All right.
Kelly, who's your guess?
I see. Originally, I thought it was going to be Norman or some part of Norman. Now I think it's either Harry is really obvious, so I'm going to go with Harry or the real Aunt May.
The real Aunt May.
Maybe the actress.
The real Aunt May. Maybe the actress.
Maybe the
Right.
actress that may. I'm going some sort of Peter that lost the marriage. I think the marriage is it. I think the marriage is the hook.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's going for. It's the person is tied to the marriage somehow.
Huh.
Is my
I
guess.
feel like whatever's going to happen, it's going to be a breadcrumb that will lead to the next
To 900.
multi-year spanning
Yeah.
arc that will start diving
Yeah.
into the marriage.
But
stuff.
I'm with Ashley. With you, Ashley, 100%. This is they're going to make the pull the thing like, oh, Kindred's actually a woman, and it's going to be like, I'm thinking it's either Gwen or Carly or somebody or whatever it is, something
Real
that's
quick,
tangentially connected to Norman in some fashion.
Real quick
Gwen would
comment.
be like big
Comment says someone give George the digital code for $8.50.
right?
Power Packer says, damn right, Kelly. Peter Palmer, it's so damn true that stupid GOG story could have been cut for this. Yes.
What?
Whoa.
No, it is necessary. It is essential Spider-Man lore.
It
Ashley
is.
is triggered.
Michael
So-
Reed wants to know, George, what's the GOG conversion rate? Peter Palmer, Kelly making good points. I apologize for insulting the almighty God. That was quick. Philip, Green Goblin, 850. The one thing about mortal enemies in the
GOG.
story. I know it. Every time we drop GOG, everybody goes pun crazy, and I love
Mhm.
it. That's my mutant power, right, George?
Gog is herpes.
So Derek Jeter has a lot of GOG. The one thing about mortal enemies in the story reminds me that it really represents cartoons. Foes needs to team up. Goes back to Transformers brought up again.
Wow.
Countdown to extinction.
Yeah, Neil
where
was
Prime and Megatron's Earth is Matt. Power Packer says it's Carla Cooper. Anime Hunter.
thank you, Power
Well, that's always a good position to take. Anime. I agree with Brad. I like that. Peter, what's up? All Kendra's allies referred to him as
That,
he.
no offense, Chi-Town, but I do not take stock in a character who doesn't know the true identity of a person, calling them he, nor do I take stock in a Solit refers to him as he. Have we
Peter-
forgotten what happened with Menace?
Peter, editorial
It feels like a
didn't
setup
credit
for a twist too. It
Mhm.
sounds like a red herring.
editorial got the artist's name wrong. They could get the gender wrong when they're typing it out.
You know,
Yeah.
it is 2020, and in these trying times, we could probably just assume that all of Kindred's allies are just assuming gender, and shouldn't they be ashamed?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is there anything we missed on this issue we want to talk about before we wrap it up? What do you guys think? George,
Okay, can
go
we
ahead.
talk about how Julia Carpenter looks like Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where in the
We did.
world
Hat.
is
Carmen Sandiego.
go?
Carmen
Hey,
Web Diego. Carpenter
Okay.
Sandiego.
That's the
Yeah.
best game show song ever.
I
Yeah,
love
It
it.
really is.
Vinkman says $9.99 is too goddamn much money for a comic.
It is.
Agreed.
All right, so I there's something I want to chime in with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole Norman and Peter having to team up to try to stop Kindred in the long run. I know a lot of people are excited about that, because it's something interesting. It's something potentially new. How's this going to go down? It really rubs me the wrong way.
Really?
It really does, because I look at this and I'm like, and it's funny to me because we have Gwen Stacy here as a reminder every damn where, even with fake Gwen
Mhm.
saying, I don't want to be the reminder for Gwen Stacy. I'm like, well, sorry, Cupcake. That's why you were made. That's literally why they made you. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's the stars. I apologize. But I mean, to constantly, have her in there as the reminder. Even the last issue, the one that I reviewed, we had the callback to the bridge, and the
Right.
snap and everything else.
Mhm.
Oh, that snap thing was cool too.
Yeah,
I
So
like that.
So, given all that, and we've got these reminders, of Norman and Gwen, it stretches credibility
Mhm.
at some point to believe that Peter is just going to be okay with doing this because he has to do it. I get to the point where I'm like, I want to pull Peter aside and be like, this guy murdered the chick that you loved.
Right.
And I get that we're excited because it's a story and it's a new event. It doesn't work for me.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, I'm like, the Peter Parker I know is going to have a huge problem with this.
Yep.
Like a big and not just a quippy problem. Like he's going to go and have a non-alcoholic beer after this.
It does seem a little incongruous that he had such a problem with Sin Eater in his past with him and reconciling with that. But we don't see him, or at least we haven't quite yet seen him struggling with, reconciling with Norman in the same way. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just something they ran out of pages for. Maybe it's something we'll see more of. But that would be unfortunate.
I need to wrap this one up. We got another show coming up. I want to go final thoughts around the horn. JR, you started reviewing this issue. I want to hear final thoughts. How do you feel?
Well, I can't wait for 850, but part of me has a feeling that I'm going to be very disappointed.
You're going to be very light in your wallet after $9.99.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be on the corner panhandling to pay for it.
George, final thoughts.
I'm disappointed because I just now found out today that it was going to be $10, and
I'm sorry.
I am a man of principle. I did not buy the last one. I will not buy this one, and I was looking forward to seeing what this might actually bring. So I'll have to find out, like everybody else, by watching or listening to you guys.
Man, Ashley, final thoughts.
Well, for a more positive note, after George brought us down, I would say that as forced and shoehorned as this kind of crossover event has been, and this whole arc, at least I feel like Nick Spencer's really keeping his head above water and still staying on as near to the top of his writing game as he can. I like that the focus with this arc, we still get a lot of introspection and more internal conflict with with Spider-Man than we ever got with, like, I'm thinking, maybe this isn't fair, but I always think of, what if Dan Slott were writing this instead whenever I feel like
man.
Yeah.
and it would just be like, whoa, flashy noise thing, look, reacting to stuff. And so I appreciate Nick Spencer's style in this, and I feel like he's able to get through this with a lot more grace than some other writers would. So he's getting twisted pretty hard in this, but I think, every writer's got to go through their lumps and get tested, and so I think he'll come out of this all.
Get tested.
I want a shirt now with Ashley doing this, and it says reacting to stuff. The way she was doing, she was like this.
Actually, to follow up on your point, we gave Slott a hard time when all these side characters were shoved into Amazing Spider-Man. We're not giving Spencer a pass on this either.
Well, we are,
I'm not saying that. It's still what the main focus is. Like, sure, Slott had to deal with juggling the same kind of editorial mandates and stuff, but I feel like Spencer's focus is still very much focused on the character and what is the character reacting internally to this. And I think one of the strengths of Spider-Man is he's an introspective character. It's very important to see how he's wrestling with these moral dilemmas and experiencing these internal conflicts. With Slott, we never got internal conflict, so it just never really felt appropriate for the character. That's why the stories felt so offbeat and felt so childish, really.
Yeah.
And it shows how much a better writer he is if he's when he's writing what the cards he's given.
This is why I come back to what I was saying in my review, because I gave that one a D. It's the first time I was given a Spencer book a D, and I was quick to point out I don't blame Spencer for this.
Right.
Editorial. Now, would I have given Dan Slott the same sort of benefit of the doubt? Absolutely not. And the reason is because Nick Spencer has shown us what a great writer he is and how he understands the character in ways that Dan Slott in 10 years never did.
Yeah, true.
So it's a entirely different thing.
McNulty, final thoughts.
Well, even though I say that, unlike Julie Carpenter, who was the worst psychic in the world, I, however, will say that I'm very confident in my predictions of what is going to happen, because some of you guys know my track record, and I don't even claim to be psychic. So
McNulty's pretty on the money.
Real quick, Mike's prediction: it's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And what woman is it?
It's either going to be Carly or it's going to be Gwen.
All right.
If it's a woman, I'm going to say it's the daughter that Peter and Mary Jane didn't get to have because Mephisto erased her marriage.
Someone said that in chat earlier too.
Oh,
so that's a theory also.
Annie looking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Kelly, final thoughts.
Ashley has pretty much given a lot of mine, so the only thing I have to say is I am excited for 850, but I guess I will be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for like a week. So thank you, Marvel.
welcome back to ramen.
Welcome back to ramen. Oh,
I can't have it because I'm celiac and it sucks and I'm sad. I love ramen.
Dang it!
Don't get me down a rabbit hole of ramen again. We know that.
I can't have pistachios because I'm fat, but yet here I am.
Ryan Reed says that McNulty magic. All right.
There you go. I'll put that on my t-shirt now.
For Patreon members, patreon.com/crawlspace. Kelly, Neil, and Javi and I will be back. We're going to do a little tease after I wrap this show up to let you know what we're going to do and what issues we're going to do. But we're going to do Spider Satellites immediately after this.
Yes.
So thank you all for watching. I loved it when the numbers started ticking up. The crazier JR sounded. That was absolutely perfect. All right, we will be back. I got to start a feed, otherwise Facebook's going to kill me. All right.
All right.
Peace,
See you guys.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good to see everybody. Later.
Later.